Literally the definition of a packed house. Give it up for yourselves. Look at this. The entire town's out tonight. Pretty awesome. And don't worry, we are going to get snow, all right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's raining. But the meteorologists say that the temperature is going to drop. So it's I'm going to stay optimistic. We're going to be up at Red Mountain very, very soon. So thank you guys for coming. I'm going to be your MC tonight. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to pass it off to our wonderful presenters after a handful of slides here. But yeah, this is the State of the Snowpack. First event here in Rossland. And these guys will be putting them on once a month throughout the ski season. So once again, thanks for coming tonight. It's amazing to see the community come together. And yeah, and some professionals to talk about our snowpack, what the conditions are looking like, and yeah, what the state is right now. So just a couple things, couple QR codes here. The big QR code, obviously, to buy raffle tickets. It's the only way to buy raffle tickets. Okay, so tonight they are giving out, what is there? There's a cat seat at Big Red Cats. Huge prize. All right, 3 lift tickets, 3 midweek lift tickets for Red Mountain Resort. And I brought this North Face backpack. So yeah, buy your raffle tickets. We're going to draw the prize just after intermission, so at the end of intermission. And yeah, and then the other QR code here is to donate to State of the Snowpack. Everything goes back into the nonprofit organization, and they are doing wonderful things nationwide. I think I read in 10 different ski communities this is going on. So big ups to the folks behind the scenes making it happen here in Rossland. All right. Perfect. Just a land acknowledgement here, folks. We would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded Tuhula homeland of the Signage people, Siux, and Tunaha peoples. We feel privileged and grateful to be here and honor the ongoing presence of the Signage on this land. We are mindful of how we carry ourselves today so as to demonstrate our intentions to honor this land, water, and all beings. This is a very important disclaimer. Yeah, just want to read it word by word for you guys. The information we present are our own observations to the best of our ability. This presentation does not replace actual avalanche training. Sign up to an AST or CAA course this winter. What you do with the information we present is your responsibility. Use it responsibly. Survey says, does anybody know that guy up there? Stevie boy. Ah, there he is, Keegan. Beautiful. Okay. What do I got for the survey? Who's new to the backcountry? Anybody brand new to the backcountry? Never been in the backcountry? Nobody? Really? No foreigners out there from New Zealand or Australia? There we go. We got one. Okay, perfect. Okay, who has their AST1? Hands up. Nice. Who has their AST2? Not too shabby. Who is a forecaster? Any forecasters out there? I saw some coming in here. Sparky's here. Wonderful. Beautiful. Couple forecasters in the crowd. Who is a guide? Matty Lewis is here. He's shaking his head at me. One of the best guides around, I would say. Awesome. Well, yeah, guys, thanks once again. This is your backcountry community. We are all here for the same reason, to have a great time in the mountains. Let's look out for each other and treat each other with respect and kindness. Okay, what is State of the Snowpack? It is community conversations saving lives in the backcountry. The State of the Snowpack Snowpack's mission. There's 3 different mission statements. Number 1, we help bridge the gap between Avalanche Canada's regional forecast and what local guides and Avalanche pros are actually seeing out there, giving you the clearest, most local snowpack info possible. Yeah. Number 2, we share a real update from our local guiding and forecasting community so everyone here can make better decisions in the backcountry and make it home safely every day. And number 3, ultimately, we're here to reduce avalanche incidents, injuries, and rescues by making snowpack knowledge accessible to the whole community. So that's pretty awesome, right? You go on the Avalanche Bulletin, avalanche.ca, you see what the danger rating are and the report for our area. But, you know, this presentation is specific to our backyard and the Rossland range, right? So amazing, amazing, once again, that everybody's putting this together. Okay, sustaining State of the Snowpack together. This is a nonprofit. Our mission depends on community support. So every dollar raised goes directly toward making avalanche awareness and backcountry education for everyone. Sponsorships from industry partners, donations from individuals, raffle ticket proceeds, and grant funding are all sustain our work, covering everything from live stream production to local event costs and chapter support. If your organization want to get involved, you saw the QR code, jump on their website. I was on their website this morning. It's a very impressive website. And yeah, get involved. Support this organization doing wonderful things. Okay, let's thank some sponsors here. So these are our main provincial sponsors for State of the Snowpack. We got Helicat Canada, Arc'teryx, Polaris, and the local sponsor is Hub Insurance. Also, yeah, big thanks to Polaris. Look at this. Polaris is raffling off a 2026 Chaos 850 snowmobile starting in January 2026. So be sure to sign up for State of the Snowpack, a newsletter, and follow on socials for the contest drops and must be a BC resident to participate. That's pretty epic. Polaris is giving out a brand new sled. There you go. And also to our local chapter supporters here, we've got Red Mountain Resort, Big Red Cats, Team Giver Free Ride Club, Jarek Sports, and Rossland Outdoor. And of course, give it up for your host, B&T's Hard Knock Cafe, making it happen tonight. Bono and Tyler, couple legends. All right, and of course, visit the State of the Snowpack website to learn more. Like I said, follow them on social media, sign up for the newsletter, and see what events are going on across Canada. Sweet. Tonight's presenters. This is pretty awesome, folks. Couple presenters tonight. First up, we're going to have Snowpack presenter Matt Delpinto. So, yeah, just a bit of a bio about Matt here. This is his 15th season in the ski industry. Matt's currently working at Red Mountain Resort as an avalanche forecaster. He spent the last 3 years working at a Revelstoke for the Ministry of Transportation as an avalanche technician. A licensed DMR with the province of BC. And Matt has been in the first aid scene for 21 years. Give it up for Matt Delpinto, everybody. Unreal. And the next speaker we'll have is guest speaker Keith Robine. Keith, a legend in the area, CSGA Level 2, CAA Pro, Avalanche Educator, and author. I'm going to read you Keith's bio. Wow, some amazing accolades here. Keith has been teaching avalanche education for 30 plus years. Keith is the co-author of the Avalanche Skills Training Handbook. That's the textbook for all AST courses. He also wrote updates to both the AST1 and AS2 instruction manuals. Keith is a professional member of the Canadian Avalanche Association and a guide with the Canadian Ski Guiding Association. He's published articles on innovative ways to include human behaviors in avalanche decision making. Um, Keith is now in a inevitable position of avalanche instructor slash guide and counselor slash therapist with a private practice based out of here in Rossland. Has been with the state of the Snowpack for over 4 seasons now, providing updates and presenting throughout the season on local snowpack conditions. Yeah, we're grateful to have Keith. This is unreal. Make sure you check out his AST courses offerings through Kootenay Avalanche Courses. Guys, give it up for Keith. What a legend here. Here to talk to you guys tonight, Keith Robine. Okay, right on. So, just real quick, these are going to be tonight's topics here, folks. So, part one, Matt's going to come up here, talk about the snowpack update. He's going to talk about the current conditions out there in the snowpack for the region. We're going to talk about notable storms and weather events. Fingers crossed, these storms are going to come to fruition and dump on us in the next coming days. It's going to talk about some notable layers in the snowpack, upcoming weather, the Avalanche Canada Bulletin is going to explain all that, problems and what's going on with them, and notable avalanche events. Okay? And then part two topics, changes from Avalanche Canada. I don't know if that's totally filled out, but I think there's going to be more to part two. Okay, that's enough of me. Let's bring up the professionals. Once again, give it up. Let's bring up here Matt Delpinto, everybody.
Hey guys, thanks for coming in. That's quite a turnout. Really stoked to be presenting a little bit of what we saw out there this season so far. Obs are pretty limited. We've been to work in the mountains for about maybe 2 to 3 weeks now, so we have a few updates for you. Here we go. First of all, I'd like to present you the Red Mountain Snow Safety Team. And they're all in the audience tonight, except Moser. Moser's with his new baby. But if you see them, yeah, ask them all the questions that you want. They love that. So we got Sparky. That's been he's our supervisor. He's been there for quite a little bit. He's over there somewhere. Knobber, Moser, and Lowe right over here. And they've all helped me build this presentation and collect data. So, yeah, give them a high five if you see them on the mountain. Yeah. The state of the snowpack is, it is pretty straightforward. I think pretty wet under 1,700 meters, which is roughly about stagger by, moist. But it's surprisingly stacking up nicely above that. It's pretty hard and and dense, but we've found spots with over a meter of snow. So in the alpine or at tree line, it's not that bad. When you're walking around town and it's all melted and raining, it's not great, but there is snow. I promise. And we just touched on the 2-week long forecast. It's getting colder, and the snow is coming. We'll touch on that. I got slides for you. Right on. Just a little seasonal history, real quick. Just to talk about November, the temps and the precip. Basically, we don't have to stare at that too long. Just showing that the temps in November were pretty steady, and precip was fairly low and steady. The next slide is a bit sadder. Is temps rising in December, consistently with a good precip rising as well. Be nice to compare it to the previous years, but I didn't graph that for you. Last year was epic. So I hear. I was away. But yeah. But seasonally, I've been patrolling here for 8 years, and when I was up in Revelstoke for highways, I did 1 day a week, so I kept my foot in the door with the team. And it's I think around Christmas every year is when we start boogieing down the slope for us. So not to be too discouraged about this start, especially with the long forecast getting cold and snowy. We're not entering any dry spells, so that's really cool. So this tonight, I'm going to be basing a lot of my presentation on snowpack observations and breaking down a few snow profiles that we drew up with the snow safety team up in the mountain. And I felt it important to touch on spatial variability before breaking down the snowpack test results and everything that we've gotten. So what you see there is basically test results. You know, if you've done your AST or AST2 or CAA courses, this could be referred to the number of taps or anything like that, like a Rouge block. There's been a study shown that you can do some tests through that same slope, maybe like the size of nothing bigger than this room, and get results from all over the place like this. So it's important not to base a result, a sketchy result, let's say, that you'd make you concern about a slope that you'd want to ski, to take it and apply it to the rest of the slope, and that's vice versa as well. So if you're not getting a result in your pit, it doesn't mean that it's to go. You have to add some strength and weight to those observations, and this this shows exactly it, right? And I just said there's been a study on that. Some people, a class went out there and dug a whole slope out and dropped a hammer, a 3 kilogram hammer, on all these different holes around the entire slope to have that same drop weight, and found it accurate that the spatial variability in snowpack testing does exist. So it's always something to remember. So moving on to the storms and layer formation that we found this year so far. Yeah. So when you break down a snowpack, mainly you'll find slabs of snow and layers. And those layers that we deal with here in the Kootenays, well, there's two main ones. You know, if you go down in the Rockies, you'll find some different types, but we deal with mostly melt freeze crusts and surface hoar. So our first layer that we found at the bottom of the snowpack there near the red of the probe is a melt freeze crust from a rain event. We found it everywhere, so we called it widespread on all aspects around the range, and to 2,000 meters. So mainly, you know, red resort summits at 2,000. So is it a problem everywhere? It's fairly low to the ground. So this pit was dug on head wall. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but it's pretty rough terrain. It's not planar or even. So it's not yet past the ground cover threshold to raise some flags on that slope for me, but definitely could be a big problem in the alpine or on slopes like booties or slopes that are more planar would be more of a concern for us. But yeah, this one's probably we'll see the profile later. We've gotten some good results on it, some planar results on it. But yeah, that's November, and it's a melt formation. So next layer that we find a lot around here is surface hoar. You've seen it before. Feet on it. It's really nice to see it on the surface. It's that glassy effect. Basically, surface hoar is frost, and it's a crystal that persists for a long time in the snowpack once it's buried, and creates big avalanche through its propagation properties. I'll touch on why we give dates to layers. Is you'll notice that it's called December 1st surface hoar. We just call them dates. So when we talk to other forecasters or give give reports on our InfoX sharing apps, we can differentiate the ones because we might have more than one layer of surface or we might have more than one layer of melt freeze crust in the snowpack. So to talk about this one specifically, it is uncertain on the spatial distribution. So we haven't dug many places this year. It has been found in our pits. We haven't gone out to the northex and to the top of the mountains in the alpine or tree line. But yeah, due to the early season, it's quite hard for us to travel right now, and going down some icy steep slopes with low coverage gets sketchy. We don't want to ruin our season by getting hurt just yet. So yeah, we're basically gonna get rolling here pretty quick with the season. So we're basing our uncertainties, especially on layers like these, to fill our days. So you know those gaps and those knowledge gaps and those uncertainties make for the goals for our next field days for the snow safety team to gather data and hone in on that and get some more information. Our latest buried layer is December 9th, melt freeze crust. I noticed that Nelson called it the 10th. We always have maybe a day or two sometimes of discrepancies there. What is it? It's a rain crust. It was formed on the 9th at night. So we call the date that the layer is buried that date. So if it snows, like we have a melt freeze surface right now. So if it snows tonight up there, we'll have another layer called the 16th. So that's work those layers. To 2,000 meters, and that means all aspects because of rain. Mainly, melt freeze crusts, they form in three ways, but two are the main ones. It can rain and then get cold, so you'll have that icy surface. And then you have the diurnal effect. So if it's just sunny for a little bit, and then at night it freezes over, and then it's sunny again for the day, and for an extensive dry spell, that can cause another way that can cause the same type of crust. So on the next slide, we'll have a snow profile that Lo and I dug, but it just looks like this. So right now we have rapidly settling snow on December 9th, maybe 18 centimeters. Don't think there's that much anymore. And I skied down today from the summit, from the A-frame to the base, and it was pretty hard. It was I couldn't punch through even off groom. So December, the new layer up top, if it snows tonight, December 16 is quite hard and ski supportive. After that, we have like an average of 25 to 30 centimeters of compact snow. And December 1st surface hoar shows up there. And then the base of the snowpack, our last layer, is November 21st. And a really hard, well-consolidated lower pack right now due to the warm start of our season. Anybody saw snow profile drawn up before in here? All right, enjoy. So you've got the details down there of the aspect, the elevation. The right here, elevation is important, and yeah, what we've got. So that time, the date was December 10th. This was on the Robbie Road study plot. So basically, the more you go out in the colors here is the resistance that you're finding. So let's say here it's going to be really soft snow, gradually getting harder as we go down. surface hoar has a lower resistance than the slab above and the slab below. Therefore, we're going to be really looking for that layer as a weakness in the snow, right? So I got a little video for you. It's slow, doing an extended column test, and that's a test to test propagation properties in a snowpack. So we're going to see if we get something to move, if that slab has propagation properties on that layer that we want to try and move. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Slow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I need tape. Such a good video. There, that one there.
Can you see it on the screen? It's just not there?
I don't see it on the screen.
It's not shared with your Google Drive, that's why.
No video. You can come at my table later. I'll play it for you. Cool. Basically, on the video, we just see Low getting an ECT result and releasing on the surface hoar layer. Oop, wrong pit. Releasing on the surface hoar first at a medium tap, and then as she gets onto the hard taps, that drops in and triggers and fails, I should say, on the next layer here. I grafted those as extended column test propagated to 13, both of them, because we repeated that test twice. After the first try, it was the first time in my career that I've seen two layers drop in the same tap subsequently. So Low gave a tap, it dropped here, and then it dropped here, which was pretty cool to see. And then we repeated the same test a little further up slope, and it didn't do the same result, but we still got two ECTP propagating results on that. And you'll notice that on the melt freeze crust here, it went on facets above the crust. So it's a classic thing that to find this sugary grain that we call facets developing over crust. It's kind of a grain that doesn't like to bond, right? Facets are, we call them sugary grains or anything like that. They have low resistance, and yeah, they don't bond well like rounds. If you're gonna talk about something. Next bit we had there is a at 1920. So we dug that on our head wall, which is the slope just between granite and gray above the wedding meadows, if you can picture that. And you'll see again the same kind of layers throughout the pack, but fairly lower coverage on there, even though we're higher in elevation actually. And no videos. All right, no worries. We'll play them after for you guys. Right on. Well, moving on real quick to the Avalanche Canada ratings. So in the last week, we were more around a considerable level. We dropped back today to a moderate in the Alpine, and then at a low and a low at tree line and below tree line. But the forecast for tomorrow, we're going back to high due to the system coming in tonight, actually right now. So it's important when you go to your Avalanche Canada page and look at your ratings that you understand what you're looking at. It's quite straightforward, and there's legends and sheets to help you really understand what you're looking for, like the North American Public Avalanche Danger Scale here. So it just helps you with travel advice, depending on the rating that Avcan gave, the likelihood of avalanches, and then the size and distribution. So something you want to get familiar with when you're looking at hazard, you got to know what it means. Our problem number one that Afghan's talking about right now is storm slab, mostly in the Alpine, because we saw it right here where they are talking about it. All aspects, the likelihood is possible, and the expected size is up to 2.5. So getting above the rain line and investigating how the new snow is bonding to the old surface. So we went up with the snow safety team and a few veteran patrollers today and built a few shots and tested the slopes. And we got the storm slab to release about 15 to 20 centimeters deep on north aspects, 5 to 10 meters wide, and running, not so far because of the density of the slab. A slab will run really far when it's dry, uh, probably, and then follow more of the ground cover and rub a lot on the old snow surface when it's a bit more moist or wet. So Afghan's travel advice to avoid freshly wind-loaded terrain features. I was up there this afternoon around 2. It started snowing sideways. So that's what they mean by being careful on lee terrain where snow can accumulate a lot faster due to wind and create that slab that they called wind slab. And that new snow will have a nice crust to run on too. Um, Before the new snow comes on the crust, though, when you have a thick melt freeze crust on the surface, that's where they say they can act as a bridging layer. So it's, as long as you're not punching through or anything like that, it's really hard to trigger avalanches because of that whole ice layer just holding everything together. But once it's buried, that's where we get new snow to run on top of that. And in time, that crust will decompose within the snowpack, and then you can have the lower stuff release as well. So we just got a little snowpack summary. I know we went through the snowpack description, the snow profile, sorry, but this is a description in words, something that we have to come up with every day that we submit on our internal sharing app. But, so basically, yeah. The snow line seems to have been around 2,000 meters on Monday, so rain below. I can confirm it. Yeah, so it just talks about the melt freeze crust that we have, the surface hoar, and then in November we have an average HS, which is I couldn't find anything above 120, but again I didn't go higher than 1,900 meters. So it could be a thicker pack on the slopes, maybe north aspects. It'd be cool to investigate that in the next couple of weeks for sure. Right on for the weather summary. So what's coming? Tuesday, 5 to 10. We got some freezing levels that are fairly low at 1,300 meters. So we'll remember that town here is 11, and silver loads 1,400. So just below silver load, we'll have some snow. Wednesday, there's a fat amount of snow coming, but again, we're the battle of the freezing levels continues. But we're seeing that trend, that downtrend, that cooling trend coming in, where on Thursday we're already going to 1,200 meters. Cool. We got a little note here. Thursday, day, I got 15 cents of snow for town. Saturday night, I got 7 cents. Sunday, I got 10. Monday, day, I got another 10. And then I'm seeing like from Jan 26th to the 29th, some consistent flurries. So I'm pretty confident we're in business. Right on. The next slide's Avcan's confidence level. So every time they get some rating, they also give some confidence level. I got a nice little picture for you. So that's Eric Sasaki getting his hair gelled up into to try to stand up for his show there at this summer. And then you have Louis, the face of moderate confidence that it's going to work. So notice his head tilt and his eye roll. Not sure it's going to work. But yeah, Afghan gives a rating every time, either low, a moderate, or high confidence. And there are uncertainties about the levels and the snow rain accumulation. Also, a limited amount of field obs. Lots of big red cat people out here, but they haven't gone out yet, haven't you? Nobody's gone out. So Afghan's looking at all of our weather obs and our field observation to create those bulletins. And we just haven't been out yet so much. So short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed the limited information I had for you guys tonight to share. I wish I could have showed you the videos, but seriously, if you want to see the results of our extended column tests, please come see us at our table. We'll gladly show you. Cool. Thanks. What's that?
The raffle ticket for tonight. How do we get it?
I don't know. Hold on. Any questions? If you think of something, if you think about anything later this evening as well, just don't be shy. Come to me or come to Keith. We'll be happily talk to you. Anyone familiar with min reports and how to submit mins? This is something that we look at every day as forecasters, and I'm a fellow backcountry enthusiast. Want to see those. So if you have information, anything that's in that box, we likely want to hear about it. So I highly encourage you guys to go on the Avcan site and get reading mins first if you haven't submitted some. And there's pretty funny stuff in there. It's great. One more thing I wanted to touch up real quick for just Red Mountain safety stuff. Um, if you've skied other resorts or our resort, you in avalanche terrain, you would have seen those flip signs. Basically, these two flip signs means you're about to encounter avalanche terrain. This one is when it's open, the yellow being cautious. So mainly if we've conducted avalanche control, it's just advising you that you're going into, some pretty gnarly terrain, and you can potentially find some pockets of instability in there. So just to be really cautious and then exercise a good practice. When you see the red one, that's closed, and for usually very good reasons. Last year, we had a major event where it got warm, and it always gets warm for us in the spring. But the thing is, this time around, it got warm, and it was the first. It got warm aggressively, so we had a lot of snow left. Usually, when it gets that warm, we're seeing rocks on groomers. We're seeing, a fairly reduced snowpack. And this time around, it went, all the red alerts went up for us. And we did close some runs. And that next day, they released this size. So this is Booty's. This is a glide crack we've been dealing with all year last year. And hopefully it'll be nicer to us this year. But this is what we encountered. So we shot the glide crack and we had fairly big releases, but as the winter went on, it just reloaded and then expanded. You can see it up here. And that was a natural release, right? The run was closed and the signs were out. And we want to thank everybody people really respected our closures, and we really appreciate that. So if you go around and you see those, just be aware that they're for a reason. Cool. Well, thank you so much. I think we'll have an intermission and 10 minutes, and then we'll have Keith. Cheers.
Nice one, Matt. Killed it, Matt. All the way back. Okay, folks, like Matt just said, 10-minute intermission. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. There you go.
Hey, hey, hey. I'm loving the energy in here. It's very different from the museum, right? How many people were at the museum like last year for last couple of years? See, it's a whole totally different crowd. It's like the people that were at that, they've already passed, and you guys have been reincarnated. Sorry, was that mean? I'm of that generation, man. Okay. Hey, so I guess that's me. Let's move into the first slide, the next slide. Oh, thanks. Hey, I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of the changes that have happened in basically all of Avalanche Canada's products that help with risk management. Can you guys hear me okay? Is it cool? All right. I know I'm supposed to like make love to the microphone. That's how you make it louder. Anybody help with the volume? That's about as best I can do. All right. So, so one of the things that it actually hasn't been published yet, but this is going to be the new way of looking at, or, kind of presenting human behaviors to Avalanche students and just, all backcountry riders. And hopefully these terms aren't like unfamiliar to you. And it happens to be the first three letters of the alphabet. It's kind of a coincidence, don't you think? Or maybe they made it that way. I don't know. But just three things to be thinking about in terms of the kinds of things that really impact our risk when we're out there. And I had the privilege of working on this and this other product. I'm going to show you the new Evaluator. And then at the end of that project, I'm going to say I got to, although it was kind of traumatizing. I got to study avalanche fatalities that have taken place in Canada since the last time there was like a published book about it. So that was like 2007. So the last 18 years. And I knew that what the story was in each of them. It was a really sad story in each of those incidents where at least one person died. And just like trying to get some information out of those incidents. It was kind of like I had to like take care of myself, because it's pretty traumatizing to be thinking about all of those people and all the people that were affected by it. And so this whole idea with human behaviors, there were so many incidents where it was, more than just dumb luck. It wasn't necessarily people's knowledge. It's just the human side of it that ultimately is what leads to these incidents. And, there's no like one story that, was true in all of those cases. It was just this kind of themes. And so some of the themes that you see in these kinds of situations is, and this kind of stuff that doesn't always work as optimally as it can. And so these are the things that, we're trying to promote with regards to helping people manage their risk when they're out there. And attitude obviously is a good place to start, in terms of, checking in with the people that you're with, and, what are our goals, and what are our, what really is our risk. It's like being more, I don't know about you guys, but in my life, I'm going to share probably way too much here. In my life, I'm finding that being able to talk more openly about what my wants and desires are, in relationships, and even in romantic relationships, it's awesome. I highly recommend it. And I'm also highly recommending that in, the backcountry realm, because, that's how we end up, either doing a really good job of communicating with our partners, or, not communicating and potentially making decisions that can often go down the wrong path. So really all of that is incorporated in these ABCs. Biases are the kinds of things that, we do just because we're human. Like the one that I always like to bring up is well, what's the most recent thing that I'm aware of? And in the backcountry realm, it's like, oh, well, we just skied a really nice slope and it didn't slide. And so that's what's most recent in my memory. And so, things feel pretty good because of that. But that's a bias, because if, say 3 hours before that, I saw like size 3 avalanche in a different location. It's like, oh yeah, but that was like hours ago. Wasn't that days ago? You know how you like think about things, and it just sort of warps over time. And so, I'm not saying we're all stupid out there, but it's just these biases that end up, often leading to these accidents. And I definitely saw a theme of that, in looking at all these fatalities over the last 18 years. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of trying to be more aware of what we can do with our partners to, improve our chances when we're out there. Anybody want to make any comments or questions about any of these things? I mean, again, it's like not rocket science, and none of it really is. But we're human, and so we still make mistakes. And so how can we use each other? Like that's the advantage when we're working well with a group of backcountry skiers. We're like there for each other. We're even if we make a mistake, our partner's going to hopefully catch it. I ski a lot with my friend Jim Mosher from town, and we're constantly doing that. It's like, oh yeah, he'll point out, that I wasn't thinking of something, and we should probably readjust our plan. But so besides the kind of, like I said, dramatic thing about looking at all these fatalities, I also what I saw in this study, which is that you guys, and I'm saying you guys as in the people in this room, but also you guys in terms of the backcountry community. I guess we're on film. Hey, what's going on? And there are people online, but the broader backcountry community, you guys are savvy. The difference in the kinds of avalanche accidents that I was looking at over the last 18 years compared to like previously, it's pretty dramatic. And you see it in the numbers, right? Like, so if you look at the chart of fatalities, I didn't bring that. I wasn't prepared enough. It's been like either steady or slightly going down if you look at the 10-year average, right? Which is roughly, I think, at around like 13 a year, which is still, like we would like to get that number even lower, of course. And that's been happening despite the fact that, double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, whatever the next one is, numbers of people in the backcountry every year. Well, not every year, but, over this last period of, 10, 20 years, right? So many more people out there. So the fact that there's so many more people, and I don't know what you guys think, but what I see in terms of the lines that people are riding, I mean, you guys are getting after it. Yeah. I mean, and doing it with obviously a certain degree of savviness and confidence compared to maybe, what we had 20 years ago. And I agree with that. Like 20 years ago, I was nowhere near as savvy as I am now. And a lot of it's not because of me, it's because of, the tools that I have to my disposal. It's like the Avalanche Canada forecasts, all the mapping tools that we have. Um, just how quick we can get information as compared to before. So people are the good news is people are taking advantage of all this information and making overall much better decisions. And how do I know that? Well, one of the things that I noticed is that people are getting into way less avalanches during high danger. I'm going to show a slide here in a minute that kind of represents that. Used to be more people who are getting in trouble um, in these higher danger ratings, and now they're getting into trouble more kind of in between states, right? Like the moderate and the considerate. Maybe we should switch. So hey, that's what I was talking about. Um, so I studied 99 incidents. And this was how it played out in terms of, then this is in Canada, of course. 4 were at low danger, and you're like, holy shit, I really rely on low danger. Am I allowed to say shit? All right, it's B&T's. It's Rossland. Okay, like low danger, that's probably sounds really sketchy because normally we think that's really safe, but most of those incidents were like kind of unusual situations where it was like spring and I think I might have even assigned low danger, and even in some of the cases where it was like those spring conditions where people are going mountaineering, and it was like in extreme terrain kind of situations, like in the Rockies, where they're climbing a mountain and there's a big slope, and the small avalanche just wipes you off the mountain, kind of thing. So I should have studied up those so I could be a little more fresh in my memory. But it was, like I'm not saying low. Well, one of my videos I called it "Low danger doesn't mean no danger." Right. So there's still some, so we still have to be paying attention. But okay, I'm not going to focus too much here. What you see here is like, look at that, right? Only one in the last 18 years extreme, so people are savvy, and even 18 at high, people know when the danger's up and they got to pull back, right? It's what do we do here, right? What do we do when it's moderate and considerable danger? That's where the real challenge is. And, the other thing that I put some numbers on here too is that simple terrain, wow, look at that. Only 0 fatalities in simple terrain. So, I like to call this back pocket terrain. It's the kind of places that you can go pretty much any day of the season and it's going to be safe, and numbers play out there. So, simple terrain, right? It's still good. And we have so many of those places in the Rossland Range. Should we do a cheer for the Rossland Range? Woo! Oh, man. I was talking to my friend Carrie out there, and last winter, I just had a chance to really rediscover the Rossland Range, often working away. And oh my God, it was just so good, right? I mean, there's just so many good places in this range to ride. So many, right? There's the popular places, but then there's everywhere else. And there's so many of those. So cool. So since I'm on this part of this, I'll talk about the new Evaluator in a second, but I got caught up with this study. Challenging, 22, and complex. So, you can see that with increasing degrees of risk in terrain, there's increasing numbers of people getting into trouble. And that's what you want to see. You want to see that, okay, there are ways that we can manage our risk by, and I love to always say this, 17 times when I'm teaching a course, it all comes down to choosing the right terrain for the conditions, right? And so that's what this tool is all about. And this is the same as we've had in the past. It's just been tweaked a little bit. So coming up, well, like this year, so we've already incorporated 2 new categories of this terrain rating system, Avalanche terrain rating. And one isn't on the chart here, but they've just recognized some of the areas that are truly non-avalanche terrain, right? And so that's going to be, considered now a category, because there's lots of places like that. Like think about where all the huts are up at Strawberry Pass, right? All the cabins, that's like non-avalanche terrain until you get higher up on the Lepso or the Crow side, and then you start getting into more, simple terrain and challenging terrain and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of really good riding in places, that are non-avalanche terrain too. And then they also added extreme terrain. Yeah. I was skeptical about extreme terrain. It's like complex terrain is already really intense. And, so anyway, and obviously it's not rated because it wasn't an example in the last 18 years. It's new. But I do sort of see the point, because when I was looking at these incidents, there were a lot that probably would qualify as extreme terrain. The kinds of places where small avalanches, big consequences, like, can you think of places like that, right? Where, if you get wiped out, even a small avalanche, it's just going to be big consequences because of stuff you're going to hit, you're going to fall off the side of a mountain, that kind of thing. And so, it'll be interesting to see how we incorporate all that. But a new thing that's coming next year is something called auto eights. And so with technology, you're going to take advantage of all these, great mapping systems. And it'll be possible, I guess, on your phone and stuff like that, to be able to figure out what an eights rating is, even in an area that hasn't been previously rated. So right now, there's a bunch of areas that are rated, but not, a lot of places. I mean, that's something, though, it's not that hard, right, to be able to figure out, what's simple, challenging, complex, with some basic tool. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we teach in Avalanche course. My buddy Nick over there, who's my assistant. Wait, yeah, there's Nick. So anyway, so the chart's just been expanded to kind of include extreme terrain and recognize that, hey, if it's non-avalanche terrain, get rid of this, just go skiing, just go riding. And, simple terrain, which is, obviously a little bit steeper than non-avalanche terrain, has some small avalanche slopes, maybe size 1 potential, is still a really, relatively safe place to go. Okay, I think I like that. Let's look at the backside, because it's just what I was talking about. Oh, thanks. And the back side of this new Evaluator card has, just explanations for what simple terrain is. Challenging, right? You can see up here, beautiful terrain, right? Like the kind of place you can go any day of the season and, have a great time without having to, worry much about avalanche risk. Just a bit, right? Just you always want to be thinking. And then challenging terrain, right? So remember, on the other side, 22 of those 99 were in challenging terrain. And then complex terrain, which got a big woohoo, is where the majority happen. And the other thing that I will mention, I don't think I have a chart for it, is, do you guys remember the Snowpack 3 years ago? Remember how tricky that was, with the persistent slabs, and it was just kind of problematic throughout the whole year. That really showed up quite a bit. Not necessarily. I mean, that was the most fatalities in the last 10 years. That whatever that was, 22, 23. Just because we were dealing with such a tricky snowpack and persistent slab problems. Okay, well, let's look at the next one. So then this one, which to tell the, if I'm on camera, but I'm going to be honest with you guys anyway. The old version of this, hardly anybody used it, which was sad, right? Because it's like, wow, this is what we're trying to teach. But we've improved it, and I think it's pretty good. We're just starting to use it, but it does show really well. I mean, this is why doing that study to see how well it works. So again, the green here, using that tool, there were no fatalities in that category. In the yellow area, only 20, and the red area was 69 out of that, of all those numbers. That doesn't really add up, does it? I thought there were 99. Anyway, my math was off. Yeah, so so this is what you can use now. Some of you are probably looking at it that have never seen this before, going, "What the is this?" How do you figure this out? And I'll show you in a second. But basically, you take a bunch of kind of red flags with avalanche conditions on the left side here, and then you match that with the terrain. So it's very similar to the other one, the trip planner. And I love the trip planner because it's so simple. You get the avalanche forecast, and then you match it to that 8 terrain, simple, challenging, complex. And that gets you either into the green, the yellow, or hopefully avoiding the red. This works the same way, but it's like taking it one step further. And the way that I like to talk about this is, if you're in the green on the trip planner, you're probably going to be fine, right? Like, you still want to take normal caution. If you get out there and it's like, oh man, it was supposed to only snow 10, but it snowed 30 overnight. Well, that changes the game. So that's what normal caution kind of means. That's the kind of thing where a green day might turn into a yellow day, and probably you need to, adjust your route selection. But if it's just a normal green day on the trip planner, you probably don't even need to go to this extra step. But if it's yellow, can we just go back 2 slides? Thanks. If, let's say, you're working in this yellow area, extra caution, and those of you that were going woohoo before, right? If you're going to play in complex terrain, even at low danger, you're in the yellow. And considerable danger with challenging terrain, that's the kind of thing where you got to take more steps. And what I like to say always is, yellow means some slopes are going to be totally good to go, and some slopes are not. And that's what we have to be able to decide. And so the idea is that you can just use this other card, the slope evaluator. So let's go 2 forward. And that's how you can then sort of just go a little further into, what is this slope compared to the conditions? Okay. And that's how you can end up with these numbers. So let's look at the last one here. And this is how you figure it out. And right now, your eyes might be glazing a little bit because it's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff on this card. But it's also the things that you're already familiar with. Right? So what are the red flags? Well, when avalanche danger is up, like considerable or more, that's a red flag. When we're dealing with a persistent slab problem like we had through the 2022-23 season, when you're seeing signs of slab avalanches, right, red flag. When there's other signs of instability, woofing, cracking. When there's been roughly 30 centimeters of new snow in the last 48 hours, which will be like that, right, in the next 2 days, hopefully, right? And by the way, we can make that happen. I have word that the more dancing that happens after this, when the band is playing, the more snow we're going to get. So just saying, it's going to happen. Recent loading. And then the critical warming, which is what we've been dealing. It's in the rearview mirror, hopefully, mostly. We're starting to cool off. And these are the red flags, though, right, that add up when we're thinking about worsening avalanche conditions. So it's like taking the forecast, which is low, moderate, considerable, high, etc., and just digging deeper, right? Because that's what savvy backcountry riders do. You guys dig deeper, and that's why the fatality curve is slightly going down versus it should be going up with all the people that are out there, and the fact that those people are riding way more aggressive lines than we were 20 years ago, right? So let's keep getting after it, and we can use these tools to help us with that kind of, like I said, especially when we're in the yellow, it's just closer to the edge. And then we match that with the terrain characters. And again, even though there's a lot of words up here, they're all things we're familiar with. Slope steepness, slope size. All right, so the more steep it is, the more you add up the numbers. If the slope is big enough to produce a size 2 or greater, right? That's the size that's big enough to bury a person. You add 1. If the slope is in open terrain or wide space glades. How about let's hear it for wide space glades, because the Rossland range is full of such good wide space glades. I can't believe it. Woo! So good. And I got to ski in some really cool places, and yeah, sure, it's great going up to Rogers Pass and places like that. But I don't know. I think that the wide space glades here are way better and way less people. Oh, I shouldn't say that on the people are listening. And then what's the deal with terrain traps, right? The consequences if we get caught. Are we going to get buried deeper? Are we going to hit stuff? And so, so we can judge a slope based on those terrain characteristics and then, come up with a score. And if you're like looking at this going, oh man, that's like way too nerdy and all this sort of thing. My friend Jim always says, it's not so much about the answers. It's about the questions. It's about asking the questions. And these are the questions, that backcountry riders are asking themselves, when they're trying to figure out, what am I going to ride? What am I going to avoid? And again, this is the kind of higher level thing. This is the thing that we, really delve into in an AST2 course. And it's the kind of thing that we want to make sure we're on top of when we are stepping, say, out of that green area and more into the yellow. Skiing the more aggressive kind of slopes that are a little bit closer to that edge for the particular conditions, right? Considerable danger in challenging terrain, complex terrain in moderate danger. That's where the yellow is. That's where we just need to be a little bit more savvy when it comes to, what slopes are we going to ride. So yeah, we made some tweaks. It's not that different than the old one, but hopefully it's is accepted and used more. And again, with all of these tools that are available, auto weights next year, it's just easier and easier for us to do a good job. And then circling back, it really just comes down to us. It's that human behavior side that ultimately is what keeps us safe when we're out there, learning how to have a voice and knowing that you're okay. That's what I've been. I just recently found out that I'm actually okay. And I'm joking a little, but not, right? Like there's always the voice in our heads that is that self-critical voice. And, it's not that voice is gone, but it's like there's another part of me that knows that I'm human and I'm okay. Right. So anyway, I'm loving being here with all of you. We're all okay. And let's see. I think I got one more slide. Thank you so much. Oh, and if that Evaluator version 3, like, because most people don't have access to it, so I just put a copy of it on my website. So where am I? Oh, yeah. So Kootenay Avalanche Courses, www, whatever, KootenayAvalancheCourses.com. And then here it is here. So under student resources, I just put a copy of it. And I put a thing so you can, look at that. You can download it, whatever, um, and start playing around with the new version 3. Yeah, and then let me know. Like, I'd love to hear some feedback from people if they do find it useful. Like I said, just the fact that we're using it and asking those questions, and it's like a good double check. I think we're 85% of the way there. Questions? You just want to dance, right? I'm ready. But happy to take any questions if anybody's got any. All right. Hey, really, thank you for coming out. It's just, yeah. Really appreciate all of this. Okay.
Thanks, Keith. Good job, bud. Oh, yeah, let's do it. Good job. All right. Thank you so much, Keith. Okay. Yeah, that's going to pretty much conclude tonight. Yeah, remember, stay to the Snowpack. Jump on their website. Support the organization. And we're going to be doing this here once a month. So next month, Tuesday, January 13th, right here at B&T's. Give it up for everybody here that put this on. Taylor Clark put in a bunch of time and effort. Danielle here. All the presenters, everybody.